Tonight from the campus of Ohio State, it's women's volleyball action here on the Big Ten Network as the number 11 team in the country, Minnesota, comes into Columbus to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's live, all coming up next right here on the Big Ten Network. Stay tuned. And welcome inside historic St. John Arena here on the campus of The Ohio State University for tonight's live women's volleyball match between the number 11 team in the country, Minnesota, and the host, Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm Nara Weng, and I'm pleased to be joined tonight by 1990 Ohio State All-American Audrey Flaugh. And Audrey, we're going to get to your alma mater in just a second, but first we got to talk about Minnesota. A bad ankle sprain has knocked out their star player, Jessie Jones. We know Kelly Schmidt will take her place in the lineup, but who's going to take her place in the leadership department?
Well, Kelly Roseland was a member of Minnesota's basketball team. Last spring, Roseland asked Coach Hebert if she could join the squad. He gave her the nod, and since then, she's polished up her game and has made a defensive impact on this Gopher team. She provides that senior leadership on the court, as well as outstanding ball control skills.
On the other side of the ball, we know that Ohio State has been very inconsistent this year, but the person who's been there game in, game out through every match is their star player, Danielle Meyer.
Well, Danielle Meyer, the two-time All-American, is not only the point leader on Ohio State's team, but the emotional leader out there. She's very powerful, dynamic. She's going to get kills from the front row and back row, as well as score her team some points with her outstanding blocking ability as well.
When we come back, we'll have the start of the match for you. It's going to be live right here on the Big Ten Network. Number 11, Minnesota, and the host, Ohio State Buckeyes. Women's volleyball action.
Before kickoff on Saturday, we'll set the stage on Friday. Big Ten Friday Night Tailgate. Join host Mike Hall to find out what's happening on campus as your school preps for the big game.
Our goal is to show you everything surrounding the games each weekend.
Get up to the second reports and see campuses battle it out to determine who really has the best football atmosphere. Big Ten Friday Night Tailgate, tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, only on the Big Ten Network.
So Alzheimer's has really affected my family, and I want to know, when's the cure?
An Alzheimer's cure? A huge discovery might be that big. At the U of M, we've reversed memory loss in mice. If we can apply this research to people, we might cure Alzheimer's or stop it before it begins.
Submit your greatest question at umn.edu.
Take an in-depth look at the Big Ten's brightest female athletes and coaches on the show designed to shine the spotlight on them.
Shot on goal, and she's got it!
The Big Ten Women's Show, Mondays only on the Big Ten Network.
They've cheered for national champions, for All-Americans, and for Heisman Trophy winners. But the loudest cheer of all is for the dot. This is Big Ten country, and this is where it lives.
To make sure you get the Big Ten Network, go to BigTenNetwork.com or call 866-WANT-B10.
Big Ten Women's Volleyball. Every dig, every stuff, every spike.
Great rally by both teams.
Really on fire here.
See the best in the Big Ten compete all season long, only on the Big Ten Network.
And we are back inside St. John Arena here in Columbus as they are announcing the lineups for you. So let's take a look at the matchup between these two teams history-wise. They've come in tied, actually, at 29 and 29 overall all-time, but Minnesota has dominated this series recently. 8 wins since 2002, and the Buckeyes haven't won since 2004. And now let's go to the referees for tonight's game. We've got in the head official Mary Blaylock, and Paul Albright is going to be down low. Take a look now at head coach Jim Stone in his final season here as head coach at Ohio State. And let me bring in Audrey. You played for him. You were an assistant for him. Talk a little bit about what he means to Ohio State athletics.
Well, he means the world to this program. He has done a great job here. We're going to talk about his accomplishments. The fans love him. The players love him. And it'll be interesting to see who comes in to fill in Jim Stone's shoes next season.
That will be very interesting. On the other side, Mike Hebert is the head coach for Minnesota, and Mike and Jim go back a long ways. We'll delve into that as the match goes on. But needless to say, Mike Hebert has built an incredible program for the Golden Gophers.
Well, he certainly has. He's like the doctor, the dean of coaching here in the Big Ten. And prior to Minnesota, he was at Illinois, and that's where he was coaching when I played here at Ohio State.
So we're just about ready to get underway here in Columbus. It's number 11 Minnesota against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Serving first will be the fab freshman for Minnesota, Brooke Dieter. Dieter gets it over. Brianna McCarthy starting at center tonight, and already an error on the first play of the game.
Well, we've got a new setter for Ohio State. Not new to setting, but Brianna McCarthy for the past 2 seasons has been an outside hitter. Jim Stone not really liking the consistency of the sets. He called her to set in this match. We'll see how she does.
Dozier was dug there. Now Rohrig dug by Stevens, and they'll go back to Dozier off the block. Dieter keeps it up, and in the middle, nice rally going along here between these two squads. Christine Tan, reigning co-defensive player of the week in the Big Ten, sets it up. And with the kill right there, Rachel Hartman in the middle.
Well, Rachel Hartman is the setter for Minnesota, but when she's front row, she will attack, as most setters will. 2-person offense hitting-wise, but the setter can attack when they're front row.
Brianna McCarthy back set from Meyer, just gets it over. Minnesota keeping it alive for Rohrig, off the block, and miscommunication. The ball drops, and already Minnesota out to a 3-zip lead. This is not good for the Buckeyes.
Well, Ohio State getting a nice touch on the ball. Here you see a great Minnesota dig to keep the ball in play. Ohio State gets a touch on the ball, but defensively you've got to take those deflections, transition, and score.
And Meyer just got stuffed in the middle there. Rohrig and Gibmeyer combine on the block. And with this rally point scoring, things can get out of hand quick if they don't get a side out. Another lob up from Dieter. McCarthy from Meyer, and that's way out. 5-0 Minnesota.
Well, Jim Stone commented to me earlier, he was very concerned about the number of hitting errors that Ohio State had versus Iowa and Purdue last week. They're starting off this game 1 with a lot of hitting errors, so they really need to improve on that flow between setter and hitter.
And finally, the dink goes for Meyer, and Ohio State will get their first serve of the match. Amy Stevens back to do it. Pass, a little tough there, and it's going to go out of bounds, and Ohio State rallies with 2 straight points.
And there you see Breanne Spires for Ohio State, kind of rallying up the troops, trying to be that emotional leader for them.
Hartman, the setup there for Gibmeyer. Doug. Another block by Minnesota. Meyer now to set up Katie Dull, and the freshman Katie Dull puts it away.
Well, Dell is outstanding. I've had the opportunity to watch her play, and for a freshman, she has made an impact on this squad. She hits high, she hits hard. She will terminate a lot of balls tonight.
Stevens with the dig. Another setup for Dull. Gets it over the block, but Minnesota alive in the middle. Dug up there. That was K-Stein on the dig. And now Rohrig. That's out of bounds, going back to Ohio State. They've rallied with 4 unanswered points.
Well, Castine making a key dig in this play right there, and then McCarthy, I think I called her Spires. That's an old Ohio State player from many years ago. I don't know where I got that from. Brianne McCarthy making a great dig there.
Set up outside for Rohrig, and she puts it away. Minnesota back on serve, leading 6-4 here in game number 1.
Well, Rohrig, definitely a very powerful young lady on the outside. We saw her previous seasons playing on the right side. She's a hard kid, to block from that left side position.
On 2, tried to surprise Minnesota. They were not. And Rohrig again, and that's in. And Minnesota adds another point to their total. 7-4 now the score with Gibmeyer on the serve.
The big improvement that I see from Kayla Rohrig is her shots. She has increased the number of shots. She'll hit line, she'll hit cross court. She's really improved her game in that sense.
Meyer with the big put-away kill right there, and she will go back to serve it up for Ohio State. Little jump serve from Meyer. Hartman set up. They're going to Rohrig again. She tries to dink. It's kept alive by Ohio State. Castine and Stevens run into each other, and it's all Dole can do, can just get it over. Hartman for Rohrig. Not a great set there, and it's behind the antenna, so that's automatically out of bounds. You can go into that a little bit, Audrey.
Right, whenever the ball hits the antenna, goes past the antenna outside the court, that ball is deemed out of bounds.
So Meyer serving with the Buckeyes trailing 7-6. Hartman tried to go on 2, a little joust situation. Ohio State has it. Meyer from the back row, dug by Dieter. And now, the put away right there by Kelly Schmidt, who's filling in for the All-American Jessie Jones.
Schmidt doing a good job of spreading the block, running behind the setter. That forces Ohio State's blocker to move laterally, which is a more difficult move to make as opposed to just standing in the middle and blocking a one ball.
Hartman now serving, and in the middle, the block made by Minnesota on Calhoun. And now Katie Dole goes way long on the hit, and Minnesota adds another point to their total. They lead 9-6.
Now, the quality of an outstanding outside hitter is the ability to take a not-so-perfect set and still make it look like it's perfect. Ohio State right now, the setting is a little inconsistent, but nonetheless, as an outside hitter, you have to be able to take those bad sets and terminate them.
Ohio State has had difficulty this year. In 6 of their 13 matches, they've hit below 200, and of course, it goes to show that they've lost 5 of those 6. Dieter with the pass. Hartman goes behind the Rohrig from the right side this time, dug by Stevens. Now, Anya Scherzen into the game for the first time, hits it long, so Ohio State loses the serve to Minnesota. Pass goes over. Now the setup off of Dull. A big shot there by Rochelle Haggerty on the kill.
Well, Rochelle playing right side, doing an outstanding job of hitting sharp cross court. Ohio State's defense just not down low and ready.
And the serve in there. But first, we got to tell you about this. Some terrific Big Ten football to tell you about tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern. And we will actually come back here as they've taken a timeout on the floor. Minnesota leads 12-7 early on in game number 1.
I went from wearing red, white, and blue of the U.S. to maroon and gold of Minnesota. Regardless of the stage, I thrived on the daily hard work and the thrill of performing. Through gymnastics, I developed a strong work ethic, persistence, and goal setting, all of which helped me in my daily life and in my work as a physician. I'm Marie Rufflesberger, and that's my Big Ten story.
Celebrating Big Ten women's athletics. Stories of tradition and excellence.
Saturday on the Big Ten Network, J.U. Kultrick and Javon Ringer look to power the Michigan State ground attack against Northwestern.
Can he get away? Good move, touchdown!
Heisman hopeful Mike Hart and the Wolverines are primed to take down in-state foe Eastern Michigan at the Big House. Or 2 of the conference's best offenses collide when Minnesota battles Indiana.
Touchdown, James Harding!
Saturday in HD, only on the Big Ten Network.
Some terrific Big Ten football to tell you about tomorrow, starting at noon Eastern. Eastern Michigan goes into the Big House to take on Michigan. The Michigan State Spartans look to bounce back from their loss last weekend when they host Northwestern, and Minnesota faces Indiana. These games will be available in high definition where it is available. That's Big Ten football with pregame coverage starting an hour before kickoff, 11 Eastern, right here on the Big Ten Network. And there we just had a point for Ohio State, so now back to serve the freshman Katie Dole. 12-8 they trail. Jump serve for Dole, a good one. Not quite over yet as Dieter gets it back to Ohio State side. McCarthy back set for Sargent, kept alive by Minnesota. Now Dieter can't put it away. And finally, down on the line, a nice kill by Kristen Dozier.
Well, this has been one of the longest rallies so far in game one, and Dozier getting it done with a line shot kill for her Buckeye team.
Dole jump serve again. Tan digs it up, and in the middle, can't get it over. That's a full contact violation right there on Minnesota. 12-10 to score, Golden Gophers ahead. And we've kind of seen rallies by both teams, rather.
Well, there you see a nice block, but the ball actually never cleared the plane of the net. Ohio State's blockers were there, though. Forehands clearly over the net.
Service error there gives Minnesota the side out in the point, and Christine Tan is back to serve. McCarthy for Sargent, cross court. It goes right back to her, and she lets it go out of bounds, and that's the call, so Ohio State gets the side out. And maybe you want to explain why there's a couple players, one on each team, wearing different colored uniforms from their teammates.
Sure, that position is the libero position. They have unlimited number of entries, and they're basically on the court for serve receive and defense. And usually they make plays like that, which just add to the emotional charge out on the floor for their team.
And the dink put away there by Haggerty gives Minnesota the point. They lead 14-11, and they'll be on serve.
Take a look at that nice get by Kristen Tan. She was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, along with Ariel Wilson from Penn State. She is a fantastic defensive player. Minnesota has had quite a few in recent years. Paula Genshu and Mama Pinata have both come through Minnesota's program as being the top defensive players in the Big Ten.
Another full contact violation here on Minnesota.
Take a look at this nice camera angle we have. No touch there from Ohio State's block.
Anya Sargent. And now Dieter terminates the kill. Dieter has been a two-time player of the week already in the Big Ten, and she's just a freshman. How good is this player going to be?
Oh, she's going to be outstanding. She's incredible. I think she was ranked 5th in terms of recruiting nationally. She's outstanding, and I'll tell you what, the Minnesota fans absolutely love her, and I think they're watching her right now at Sally's in Minneapolis. I bet they really like the fact that she chose to go to Minnesota.
Yeah, they got a big pregame viewing party over there at Sally's. The side out there goes to Minnesota. So Dieter, who started off the match serving for Minnesota, got some quick points right off the bat, and she looks like she's on another roll here. In. And now it's the show for all Big Ten fans, featuring highlights, analysis, interviews, and much more. The Big Ten tonight, every night, right here on the Big Ten Network. Set up for Meyer, and she puts it away to get Ohio State back on serve, now trailing 17-13.
Well, there's the All-American Danielle Meyer. She's hitting from the left side out of this rotation, and she shows her versatility. She's generally a middle hitter, but she has enough athleticism where she can really hit the ball from any position on the court.
Rohrig dug up by Castine. And there, another good defensive play by Tan. A nice long rally here by both sides. And Dull couldn't quite terminate. Hartman, back row setup. Couldn't quite get it down, did Roysland. Now McCarthy for Meyer, and that's well out. Tried to cut her shot cross court, couldn't quite get the angle.
Wow, check out the defense on both sides of the net. Tan for Minnesota getting it done here. Moving her feet, always staying on her feet until she plays the ball. And here another great dig from Ohio State. So good defensive play on both sides of the net.
Give Myers jump serve. And now the setup for Katie Dull. Rohrig left side, can't put it away. McCarthy looks for the freshman Dull. Cross court, they're calling a violation right there on Minnesota.
Yeah, net violation. When you block, you definitely want to penetrate the plane of the net. but you cannot touch the net. I think we're going to see it here. We'll watch the hands go up, and just that slight touch. What a great camera angle.
Service out of bounds, so we'll go back to Minnesota. One of the things that both coaches talked about was the importance of the service and passing game and left side hitting.
And there's a bunch of different serves that you're going to see tonight. You're going to see the jump serve, both a floater, kind of a hybrid serve, and then that jump serve with a lot of top spin. And then you're going to see some athletes just stay down and do a floater serve. Different sorts of spins on the ball. When it's that top spin, it drops real quick, and the floater kind of moves right in front of the passer's hands. Both are very difficult to pass.
Set up and kill by Rochelle Haggerty from the left side. And that's the thing both coaches talked about, is that Minnesota has been much more consistent hitting from the left side. That's why they've been successful, and Ohio State has not been.
Right, you talk about attack percentage. The team with the highest attack percentage is going to win games, and they're going to win matches. Attack percentage is kills minus your errors over your total attempts. And like you said, Minnesota right now just hitting a better attack percentage.
Tan unable to dig that one, so Ohio State will go back on serve. That'll be Katie Dull to serve it up. Wait for them to clean up a little bit of perspiration from the floor there. And the freshman will get it going with the jumper. Nice spin, and that's an ace for Katie Dull.
Anybody who knows volleyball knows that she sort of hit that ball, but I'm not going to tell anyone. It kind of got off her hand a little bit, and it didn't quite go where the Minnesota team expected it to go.
Sometimes those are more effective when the other team doesn't expect it.
That's right.
Dieter didn't quite get her steps together, but we're going to say that's behind the antenna again. So Dull racking up some points here as Ohio State trails by just 2 points.
Well, Rachel Hartman on that set just pushed it a little too far off the net. Generally, she's very consistent. She's a very athletic and gifted setter. But when the timing is crucial, outside hitters bank on the ball being in the exact precise spot every time. They actually start their approach as the setter's touching the ball. So a set that's a little bit off can really mess up the hitter's approach.
They'll try Dieter again, dug by Meyer. And now Dozier into the net, can't get it over, so Minnesota takes the lead 21-18 and goes back to serve Christine Tan.
Well, it's frustrating for Ohio State when you make a great dig like Danielle Meyer did in that rally. The ball gets up, and as a hitter, you just got to put the ball in play.
And there's a kill by Kayla Calhoun in the middle. Nice setup from McCarthy. And so far, based on what you've seen, how's McCarthy doing setting? She hasn't been setting in a while, obviously.
Well, I think McCarthy is very skilled, and I think as the match goes on, she's going to continue and feel more comfortable with the rhythm. She's a great athlete. She's going to adjust, but more importantly, she's a competitor, and she's going to find a way to win.
Ohio State just has to knock it over. Tan set up to Hartman, and in the middle, Gibmeyer gets it down after a couple touches.
You don't want to let points like that. You don't want to let that ball drop. It was a nice touch off of Ohio State's block. They've got to run those balls down, transition, and score.
Serve is in. And volleyball action continues on the Big Ten Network as Ohio State takes on Penn State next Wednesday night at 8 Eastern. Now Anya Sharzin, the player from France with the Polish name, serves it up. From the back row, Roysland dug up. And now Dozier will knock it over. Gibmeyer puts it away off Stevens.
Well, Roysling, you can see what an impact she has. She does a great job digging balls, but then she has the ability to attack from the back row. So Ohio State really always having to be on their blocking and defensive game, even if the pass isn't perfect up to the Minnesota's setter. She will set a back row attack, and Minnesota has proven that they'll score on that.
Minnesota leads 23-20, and we'll be right back here on the Big Ten Network.
Can't keep up with all the Saturday action?
He'll run away from everybody. Touchdown!
Then catch up with Big Ten Extra Points. Every scoring play from every Big Ten game.
Can he get around? Good move. Touchdown! touchdown. The throw is caught for the touchdown.
All in one show.
To the end zone. Touchdown. This is absolutely unbelievable.
Big Ten Extra Points, Monday nights, only on the Big Ten Network.
Big Ten Football Saturday. This is absolutely unbelievable. The legendary coaches. The Heisman Trophy winner. The classic stadium. And the biggest rival. This is Big Ten country. This is where it lives.
And we're going to talk to you about how the scoring works in volleyball. It's 23-20 Minnesota right now, but Audrey, talk about rally scoring.
Okay, every time the ball's in play, either team can get a point. Back in the day when I played, you had to have possession of the ball on the serve in order to get a point. So it was side-out volleyball. Only when you serve the ball could you get a point. Now every ball is important. It scores every time that ball hits the floor for either team.
Which is why they played at 30 now instead of 15.
That's right.
And Ohio State trying to rally it up. They now trail 23-22. 2 straight points on Amy Stevens' serve.
Amy's got that nice floater serve. It moves as soon as it gets to the passer's hands. It makes it real difficult to pass a 3.
And speaking of the pass, we have someone sitting next to me who has a little bit to do with the Ohio State volleyball tradition here. Audrey DePronio was her name then, and back when she played, she was an All-American setter for the Ohio State University. As we take a look at some of those action shots of Audrey back in the day, and you played for Jim Stone, so talk a little bit about your experience as a member of the Buckeye family.
Well, you know, playing for Ohio State was a pleasure. It was tough, it was challenging. But needless to say, Jim has really helped me blossom, not only as a player, but as a person. And I'm really sad to know that he's not going to be here to impact other young players. But playing for Ohio State was a pleasure and an honor. And those pictures, boy, nice hair, Audrey.
Yeah, and you know, your
hair.
banner, of course, is hanging here for your All-American status in 1990. Do you ever take a look up there and just think back to, you know, it was a lot less crazy when I was here, or more crazy? How do you feel?
Well, I feel like the fan base has increased here in St. John Arena. It's wonderful. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we were just starting to develop this program to be a national powerhouse. But the kids here have continued to work hard, and under Jim's guidance have really done an outstanding job.
Get back into the action, and Meyer blocked up by Rohrig. Rohrig doing a good job blocking, and now 24-22, Minnesota stems the Buckeye rally.
Well, Rohrig is 6'4", so for slide attackers, that is a huge block to hit around. She lines up nicely with the hitter's approach. It's virtually impossible for hitters to hit around her if she is lined up in the right position.
Dole cross court dug up. From the back row, Dieter just sneaks it over the net for the point, and Minnesota 5 points away from taking game number 1.
Well, Dieter's fun to watch. She has a smile on her face. You know, that wasn't her best kill of the night. It rolled off the top of the tape, but she'll take it. Hey, it's a kill in the stat book, any way you look at it.
And a nice serve ace there by Lauren Gibmeyer.
Now, Gibmeyer, Dieter, and Coles were all on the same junior national team, Northern Lights. I think they won the national title as 17s, and as 18s, I think they ended up in 3rd place. So what a dynamic trio to have on your squad. Great experience, great athletes.
Yeah, their championship year went undefeated, which is pretty much unheard of, right, on club play?
Absolutely.
Now, Danielle Meyer trying to get the Buckeyes back into this game number 1. Hartman looks for Rohrig, and Rohrig stuffed. The combination right there of Calhoun and McCarthy.
Well, McCarthy is a nice size on the right side as a blocker. She stands at 6'1", but she has got great penetration. She spreads her fingers nice and wide, nice strong forearms to seal that block.
Cross-court sharp angle right there by Kelly Schmidt for the put away. We look now at Rachel Hartman going back to serve for Minnesota, leading 27-24. takes it long. So Ohio State, you figure that they've got to do something right here on McCarthy's serve to try and get back into this game.
Right, this point is crucial. They want to get it as close as they can. They don't want Minnesota to get this 28th point.
Remember, you have to win by 2, so even if you get to 30, you have to win by 2 so you can go up higher. And Rohrig off the block, out of bounds, off Ohio State. So Minnesota now just 2 points away from closing out game number 1.
No, I really like the way Hartman moves the ball around. She's a quiet leader out there, but she has been able to run a great offense. She's got a ton of experience. Ran a 6.2 as a freshman and a 5.1 as a sophomore.
The shot there by Calhoun out. So Minnesota with game point, 29-25. Haley Cowles, one of those fab freshmen you talked about, trying to close it out for the Gophers. Stevens, rough pass. McCarthy able to get it up, and a big kill by Kayla Calhoun.
Well, a huge save by number 8, Brianna McCarthy. That ball was crossing the plane of the net. She does a great job right there. You see it to jump set and save the ball, and ultimately save that point for her team.
They've got to get at least 3 straight points here, though, or Minnesota wins the game. And there's one as defensive problems for Minnesota trying to get the ball up.
Let's take a look here. Again, it's a soft shot by Minnesota. Ohio State's blockers penetrating, sealing the net, doing a good job of getting up point.
Dole jump serve. They look for Dieter. Didn't get her steps, but she still got it across, and that's it. Game number 1 goes to Minnesota, 30-27. So they're going to switch sides now, and we'll come back for game number 2 here from St. John Arena at Columbus, Ohio.
It's not just a jersey. It's a symbol of who we are. A community of coaches, student athletes, and fans. Bound together by a code of conduct.
Every night, go inside your school with unprecedented access on Big Ten Tonight. It's the show for all Big Ten fans, featuring highlights, analysis, and much more. Big Ten Tonight, every night. Saturday on the Big Ten Network, 2 of the conference's top offenses collide when Amir Phoenix leads Minnesota against Kellen Lewis and Indiana.
Touchdown, Indiana!
Saturday in HD, only on the Big Ten Network.
You know Reggie. You remember Gibson? You know about the bloody sock.
You talk about courage and heart.
You can feel the Fall Classic even in July. You get it. You're a fan. Watch like one. There's only one postseason. There's only one Fall Classic.
Impossible has happened.
There's only one October.
We are champions of the world.
The first case of HIV/AIDS was identified 25 years ago.
Since then, 25 million people have died.
5,000 people die daily.
The fight against this disease still hasn't produced a cure.
So why should I care?
Because of the future.
Because of the past.
Because of friends.
Because of strangers. Because I'm a fighter. Because every voice, every person, because it could be me.
Brings us that much closer.
So, why?
Why?
What should I care?
Because I do. Join the fight.
Big Ten fans, enter the BCS Bound for the Big Easy Sweepstakes for your chance to win a trip to the 2008 All-State BCS National Championship game in New Orleans and HGTV or other great prizes. For more, log on to bcsbound.com. So game 1 went to Minnesota, and Ohio State, as has been their problem this year, hitting only 109 there. They did hold Minnesota to 163, but coming into this game, when you look at the opponent hitting percentage in the conference, Minnesota was the best, holding their opponents to 123 percentage. Meanwhile, OSU last in the conference at 193.
Well, Minnesota's strength has been their blocking and digging, and that's why their opponents are held down to a low percentage. You know, you got Jessie Jones, who's injured tonight, but she was a huge factor at the net for Minnesota. Right now, leading Minnesota's team is the freshman Gibmeyer and also the other freshman Dieter. They're hitting 25 and 22%, so good job by the freshman class for Minnesota.
On the other side for Ohio State, Kayla Calhoun in some limited attempts, but she's hitting 40% on her attempts right there. And Meyer, they've tried to set her up a lot, but right now she's struggling only at 133 on the percentage. So as Ohio State breaks their huddle, we're about ready to get underway. Ohio State will serve it up first here to begin game number 2. Tremendous atmosphere at St. John Arena. When you played here, was it this many people here?
Well, it was close. When I played, though, the big thing, the band wasn't here, and I'll tell you what, they add so much to the atmosphere in this place. We had the cheerleaders, we had Blocko, we had all parents and students in the stands, but that band, I'll tell you, they're the best damn band in the land.
All Ohio State alumni very proud of the marching band. So Amy Stevens will start it off here in game number 2 for the Buckeyes. The libero puts it up. Dieter just gets it up, and she'll take it from the back row. And now a little dink by Meyer. Tan setting up Rohrig, blocked, and that falls to the ground. So Ohio State a much better start in game number 2.
Now let's take a look at this. Rohrig a little off balance here. The ball's coming from the back court, hits low along the plane of the net. That's a very easy ball to block.
And Stevens' service error there right into the net. So we'll go over to Lauren Gibmeyer on the Minnesota side, tied up at 1 early in game number 2. Gibmeyer, one of those 3 freshmen who play a lot for Minnesota, who all played together on the club team Northern Lights. Meyer keeps it alive for Ohio State. Katie Dull, too long, and Minnesota stays on serve, leading 2-1.
And Jim a little frustrated there. Again, those hitting errors come back to haunt you. He just wishes that on that particular play, Dull just keeps the ball in play. You don't want to make an unforced error.
Gibmeyer misses on the serve there, so it goes back tied at 2 for Meyer to serve. And last weekend was a bloody weekend for Ohio State on the road. How would Jim have reacted in practices the next week?
I was thinking you were going to say it was a bloody week of practice because he probably just nailed balls at them. You know, Jim Stone is used to winning, and it's frustrating when you lose, you know, at home or on the road. So I'm sure practices were intense, and I think this squad knows that a win tonight is really important.
Hartman floater, can't get it across the net. So Ohio State will go back, and yeah, Jim Stone's intensity shows through even on conference calls with the broadcasters and producers. Hartman back set. Rohrig just has to put it over. And now Calhoun can't quite get it over, so Minnesota will take the serve back, leading 4-3.
Now, quick attack, which is what Ohio State tried to execute on that play. When the setter is touching the ball, the middle attacker should be up in the air, full jump, arm back. That time, the timing of Calhoun was a little bit off, and therefore it was a hitting error in the net.
Anya Sharson with the kill for Ohio State. Sharson, a sophomore, played a big role coming down the stretch last year for Ohio State. This year she's been kind of in and out.
Yeah, she's had some injuries. I think her ankle gave her some problems earlier on. Jim said she's about a week from being 100%, so she's playing out there with a little bit of an ankle injury that's still lingering on.
Dieter with the put away there. And Christine Tan, the libero, back to serve it up for the Golden Gophers. On the right side that time, Sharson puts it down. And right now, both teams just trading points with each other.
Yeah, they're just sort of trading blows right now. Offensively, Ohio State in somewhat of a rhythm. You see a nice cross-court attack.
That time, Sharson. Calhoun with the soft serve. Set up for Gibmeyer. Stevens able to keep it up, and Meyer bumps it over. Hartman looking for Dieter, and the freshman puts it away.
Brooke Dieter is outstanding. She kind of has an unorthodox approach. She just kind of hops her way in there, but boy, what a great save by Amy Stevens. But ultimately, Dieter takes control and just slams it down Ohio State's throat.
Set wasn't great there for Gibmeyer. Ohio State now just scrambling. And Gibmeyer able to get the kill.
Gibmeyer just taking a ball that she didn't approach perfectly to. The set may have been a little bit off, but she manages to score. And as a setter, you just have to keep talking to your hitters and saying that was my fault. Even if the approach was off of the hitter, you just take responsibility out there. Hey, my fault, I'll get you a better set, and then kill the next ball.
Roysland serving it up. Sargent can't put it away. Dieter, long and out. So it'll be 7-6 Ohio State now with the serve. Anya Sargent from France, back to serve it up. Looking for Dieter. Now Dozier, and miscommunication between Dieter and Cowles, and you think with all the time they've played together that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, you would think. But that ball was deflected off the block and right there in the seam between the two defensive players. So one of them needed to call it, recall it, and take the ball.
Dozier can't put it away. And Hartman just tried to sneak it over, couldn't quite get it down. Longest rally of game number 2 so far, Gibmeyer, and that play worked again. The Big Ten Network is looking for its most passionate fans with Big Ten super fans. The Big Ten Network wants to reward its loyal viewers with chances to win great prizes like tickets to a Big Ten game, TVs, iPods, and much more. Register now at BigTenNetwork.com. Kyla Rohrig stuffed there by Meyer and McCarthy.
Actually, the ball was blocked and went out of bounds, so that's a point for Minnesota. So a good job of tooling the block there by Kayla Rohrig.
Sargent from the back row, long. So Minnesota staying on Brooke Dieter's serve. We've got a timeout on the floor here. Minnesota leading game number 2, 10-7 right now. So we'll come right back here to Columbus after this. Minnesota, the 11th ranked team in the country, leading Ohio State 10-7 in game number 2.
What is tough? Tough is a Suzuki ATV. Quad Fair, on the other hand, is easy. During Suzuki's Quad Fair, get low payments on select Suzuki ATVs, including the best-in-class King Quad, Quad Racer, or Quad Sport. Plus, when you buy a King Quad or utility ATV, you can get a free Warn winch. Add a Warn wireless control system for only $69. Or if you purchase a Quad Racer or select Quad Sport, get up to $550 in free MSR riding gear. You better act quickly because unlike Suzuki ATVs, these deals won't last.
The first case of HIV/AIDS was identified 25 years ago.
Since then, 25 million people have died.
5,000 people die daily.
The fight against this disease still hasn't produced a cure.
So why should I care?
Because of the future.
Because of the past.
Because of friends.
Strangers, because I'm a fighter. And because every voice, every person, because it could be me.
Brings us that much closer.
So, why?
Why?
What should I care?
Because I do. Join the fight.
Minnesota succeeding thus far, even without their star player, Jesse Jones, and they've been doing it at the net.
Nice blocking here from Minnesota, but then their outside attack is looking real good. There you see Rohrig with a line shot. Ball's pushed all the way outside. Outside hitter for Minnesota, tooling the block and getting another big point for her team.
Point scored there by Ohio State makes it 10-8 Minnesota. Amy Stevens serving it up. Hartman looking for Gibmeyer, and this time she can't get it down. A big point for Ohio State on the block.
What you can't see when you're watching is the amount of scouting that goes on behind the scenes. Ohio State knowing exactly where the setter tends to set, the percentage of times off certain serve-receive patterns. That time Ohio State's blockers reading her perfectly, getting squared and set up, and really putting a